Well, it's a late arrival. Not that late for me really. What is it, just gone midnight. Got a couple of rods out. And it's a quick overnighter for me. My idea of a quick overnighter probably is a little bit different to some other people's idea of a quick overnighter. But basically I had dinner with the missus tonight, spent the evening with her, and I've come up the lake late. Motorways are quiet. There's a couple of other people on, but you know, it doesn't matter. I've tucked myself in a quiet corner where I know there's a few carp. Even though it's winter, and depths of winter as well, and it's pretty cold, as you can see. But the fish are still quite active. They've been showing, and in the autumn I did quite well by poling my baits out on top of the bubblers. So I'm sticking to that same tactic over the winter, just changing my bait mix a little bit, putting a little bit more ground bait, a little bit finer particles in there. I'm fishing the Horton crayfish pool, which, as the name might suggest, is full of crayfish, and they can be a real nightmare. You know, even at this time of year, the water's pretty cold, they're still quite active. So you've got kind of, even though my rods are only going to be out for 7 or 8 hours, there's still a chance that I'm going to have no bait if they do get hold of it. So I started off using citrus pop-ups, and I did catch a couple on the citrus, but I was reeling in the morning with just a tiny bit of pop-up left, and I did actually catch one fish where there was literally just a tiny chunk of pop-up left on a bait screw, so that was a pretty lucky capture really. So I switched to little foam balls, which I'm glugging in the citrus syrup just to give them a little bit of that same flavour, which the fish obviously like, but they're pretty much indestructible to the crayfish. So yeah, that's a much better way, I think, of ensuring that I'm going to have a bait on at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, which is, you know, the time that I'm hoping to get a bite. So yeah, fingers crossed. I've pulled my baits out under the bush, got one out in open water, and we'll see what's going to happen. So although it doesn't play to my strengths, I do love fishing in the winter. You know, it has its own charms. It's those beautiful, quiet, cold mornings where there's no other anglers on the bank, where you sat there with a cup of tea or coffee watching over the lake. You can't beat the way the fish look. You know, in the winter they're in their prime colours and often at good weights and in their peak condition. So it's a good time to catch carp if you can. I think we'd had a particularly like a mild December, which meant that the fish were still in the edge. We'd also had a lot of high pressure and a big moon, which often means that the fish are higher up in the water column, so you're more likely to find them perhaps in the edges than you would throughout the rest of the winter. I used that to my advantage. You know, I found the fish in the edge and I presented a bait to them with the pole, which I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Happy birthday to me. A couple of days late, but that'll do. One of the reasons I love fishing in the edge is because I can really accurately bait, I can present my rig perfectly. And here now with the baiting pole, I could do exactly the same thing, but I could do it out in the lake as well. It allowed me to put a small handful of bait and the rig perfectly on a tight spot, you know, and recreate a situation which you could only really do before with a bait boat. In 2019 started really well for me. I started early in January, which was around my birthday, and I actually turned up, and it was a really cold night, turned up after dark and there were fish showing all over the lake, which was quite unusual, you know, to see that many shows, but it filled me with a lot of confidence for the night, and I woke up to another bite at first light. Now, this was a much better fish, you know, a really, really nice scaly one, and one of the fish which, you know, you join the crayfish pool to catch. And yeah, this is number 2, beautiful linear. I've got a bigger one in the other net, so let's have a look at that. That was shortly followed by another one, which was a real bar of gold, a fish of 34 pounds. So I counted myself really lucky not to catch just one, but 2 really good fish that morning. And luckily I had Lou, who was coming up anyway. He came up and did some photographs and some really nice filming for me, and really captured the occasion and captured the moment. Ooh. Because of the success that I'd had using the baiting pole during the autumn and the winter, it was obvious for me that I should continue using it in the spring. You know, that presentation that it offered me was bringing me bites when perhaps I wouldn't have been getting them otherwise, where it allowed me to place my baits in holes in the weed accurately, and it allowed me to place it under canopies. And it was only a matter of time, I guess, before I met one of the bigger residents. And it was at first light again that I was awoken by a bite. Now, this was a real ripper, you know, I found myself playing the fish in my socks, you know, sometimes they're going so fast you just don't have time to put your shoes on. And this was certainly the case with this one. When the fish finally surfaced in front of the net, it was instantly recognisable as one that I'd actually photographed last year. It was one of the Craple's big mirrors, a fish called Clover. Now, once you've seen them, you know, it always makes it a little bit more nerve-wracking, especially when you know that it's a big fish. So I was really relieved when it actually went over the net cord, because it had really given me quite a battle. I think it's what they call Clover. Got a bit of damage there one side. Big one.
Just linears, bro.
Just linears, fam. Photographed this one for Hayden last year, the year before. He sneaked it out the edge off one of my spots. Good to have it in my own net. Big fish. Yeah, I didn't call you out for a little one, mate. Promise you.
Just on 38.
That'll do.
What's that fish?
Well pleased with this one, mate. Well pleased. I've had a great 2019 so far. You know, the baiting poles brought me great success. I'm actually looking forward to the autumn this year. I'm looking forward to being able to fish for those bubblers. I'm looking forward to the winter. You know, hopefully those quiet banks, those cold mornings, and hopefully a big old chunk in the net.